Two hearses arrived with the caskets of Richard and Therese Rodriguez at the Sutherland Springs Cemetery, Saturday, November 11, 2017, in Sutherland Springs, Texas. The two were killed when a man opened fire inside the Sutherland Springs First Baptist Church on Sunday. Eric Gay, Associated Press, Sutherland Springs, Texas. The latest on the Texas church shooting. All times local 5:45 p.m. White hearses slowly drove into a small cemetery carrying a married couple who were among the more than 24 people killed during last weekend's mass shooting inside a Texas church. Dozens of vehicles followed in a procession Saturday evening after the funeral for Therese and Richard Rodriguez. The procession didn't go by First Baptist Church, the site of the Sunday shooting. Instead, mourners drove around the tiny community of Sutherland Springs before arriving at the cemetery on the edge of town. Other vehicles were parked around the cemetery along a rural road. First responders and sheriff's SUVs were parked at the three entrances to shield mourners and help direct traffic. Relatives say Therese and Richard Rodriguez had been married for about a decade and had recently retired. 4:45 p.m. A woman who worked with a gunman who killed more than 24 people in a Texas church says head shake with rage and seemed obsessed with a man who killed 9 people in a South Carolina church. Former Air Force Staff Sergeant Jessica Edwards tells the New York Times that she worked with Devin Patrick Kelly near the end of his military career in 2011. She says he frightened her. Edwards says after Kelly left the Air Force, he contacted her on Facebook about his obsession with Dylan Roof, who opened fire inside a church in Charleston, South Carolina, in 2015. Edwards says Kelly would cry, scream and vow to kill his Air Force superiors when punished for poor performance. She says she warned Air Squadron to go easy on him because she feared he'd come back and shoot up the place. Kelly was given a bad conduct discharge after pleading guilty to assaulting his then-wife and stepson. 3:45 p.m. The first wife of the man who killed more than 24 people at a Texas church says he had a lot of demons or hatred inside of him. Tessa Brenneman told Inside Edition for a segment broadcast Friday that Devin Patrick Kelly once put a gun to her temple because he was angry she'd received a speeding ticket. She says Kelly also threatened to kill her and members of her family. Kelly was in the Air Force at the time. He pleaded guilty in 2012 to assaulting Brenneman and fracturing her young son's skull. A military jury sentenced him to 12 months confinement and a bad conduct discharge. Investigators have said Sunday's shooting inside the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, appeared to stem from a domestic dispute involving Kelly and the mother of his second wife. Investigators say Kelly had sent threatening messages to her. The mother-in-law sometimes attended services at the church, but she wasn't there the day of the shootings. 2:40 p.m. Church groups from throughout the region have made pilgrimages to Sutherland Springs, Texas, to pay their respects to those killed and injured in last week's mass shooting. Jackie Lee says she asked her friends on Facebook if anyone would be willing to come with her from San Antonio this weekend to visit the memorial and the church. Instead of the handful she expected to say yes, 25 people asked to go with her. David Delaware leads a Baptist congregation that sings gospel music called David Delaware and the Divine Sound. The group sang a version of Hold On by the Walls group near a row of white crosses in Sutherland Springs. Saturday was the first chance many people had to visit the small town since last Sunday's attack, in which more than 24 people were killed. 12:15 p.m. A line of first responders and law enforcement personnel stood with heads bowed in Sutherland Springs for a Veterans Day ceremony that also was meant to honor the more than 24 people killed a block away at a church. About 100 people gathered Saturday outside the community center for the ceremony, where a wreath was placed near flags to remember those killed last weekend. Nearly half of the shooting victims had ties to the U.S. Air Force. Wilson County Judge Richard Jackson's voice broke as he thanked the first responders and others who rushed to First Baptist Church in the aftermath of the shooting. Jackson, the county's top administrator, says the scene will affect them the rest of their s. Jackson said he hopes Saturday's ceremony will start a healing process to put this horrific tragedy behind us and look to the future. 12:30 a.m. Veterans Day has special meaning this year in the small South Texas community where a church massacre occurred last weekend. Nearly half of the victims had ties to the U.S. Air Force. The church attack victims with military backgrounds will receive a full military salute Saturday on the grounds of the community hall in Sutherland Springs as Veterans Day is observed. An Air Force official has said that 12 of the victims had direct connections to the Air Force, either members or with family ties. Devin Patrick Kelly killed more than 24 people in a shooting November 5 at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs. Kelly died of what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound after the massacre. Copyright 2017 The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, rewritten or redistributed.